almost a household name in Canada. Ryan Wedding is his name, who was an Olympian for Team Canada, a snowboarder. And I'm just wondering, is Ryan Wedding as famous worldwide or as known worldwide as he is around Canada these days?
Welcome to the show, Jeff. Hello.
How are you guys? Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. How are you guys?
No, thank you for taking the time. It means a lot. So yeah, what's the vibe with Jeff Wedding outside of Canada?
Ryan Wedding.
I mean, sorry. Ryan Wedding.
Yeah, I'm not part of
No,
that
you're
family.
not.
No, look, anybody that knows the thought is that Ryan Wedding, I don't know if the people realize how big Ryan Wedding really is. I mean, I think the thought is he's just this coke dealer and he has a bunch of girls around him. I mean, Ryan Wedding is essentially at this point one of the leaders of the Sinaloa cartel. I mean, it's that simple. He is vast. His network is vast. He has no problem taking people out if he needs to. He's being protected by some very powerful people. And that's the thing about cartels. I mean, people just think of them as these entities that move narcotics. They're actually essentially Fortune 500 companies that have hundreds of thousands of people that work for them. Their reach is vast, and they're providing a lot of drugs, and they're doing a lot of other things too. So yeah, I would say the fact now that people like yourself, I mean, throw in the fact that he's now on these legitimate news networks. People like me were the only ones really looking into him. Now he's on the CNNs and the Fox News and the CBCs and all these different networks. Plus, his story is movie-like. So I think that's what adds to it. It's rare you see an individual like this go to the top of a group like this. So I think he loves this kind of stuff, though. I'm sure he bests in it.
So tell us the story for those who are checking out this show right now and they're like, wait, I have no idea. What is the fascination? What is the story? Tell us about him making his way to the Olympics to begin with.
Yeah, so Ryan Wedding was born in Ontario. He really just was in a family that was involved in ski resorts and things of that nature. He got into snowboarding. Was actually very good at it. He was a junior national sort of snowboarder. He then got into world championships. He then represented Canada in 2002. Now, he wasn't like the top 3 or 5. I think he placed 22nd in the 2002 Olympics, which is I believe it was in the United States.
Salt Lake City.
Salt Lake, yeah.
And from then he went to Vancouver, which isn't far from you guys. Attended college, became a bodybuilder, got involved in some bouncing, was moving around. And then he started, getting involved in selling weed. He was involved with something called BC Bud, which, you may have heard of. It was at one point I'm not insinuating you do marijuana, but
no, I think everybody knew that quality of marijuana was recognized worldwide.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, he then got arrested, but he didn't do any prison time. He then just started getting into cocaine, started moving coke. He got familiar with a person who ended up being a confidential informant, basically undercover for the FBI. He did time in prison, and that's where it all started for him. As far as a lot of people don't realize, when you go to prison in the United States, particularly the United States federal prison system, it only makes you a better criminal, especially the level that he was at. He started meeting bigger dealers, and that's really where it kind of got big for him. But it all started really just through selling marijuana, getting involved in growing the plant, and then moving from there.
So truly the definition of it being a gateway drug, I suppose, as many have said.
I mean,
do you think
in his case, but I think it was more, guys, just not to interrupt. I think it was more just the fact that he was a businessman. Whether or not you agree with it, selling narcotics is very lucrative, especially if you know the right people. And for him, it's become quite lucrative. But back then, I've talked to people that are in that business. I've talked to people that have been in that business. I've talked to people. They're really just supply and demand. They see a demand for something and they fill it. I think that's one thing about Wedding that I find to be pretty interesting is I think he really just started because he wanted to make money, which is why most people do it. But he was filling a demand that people have for doing these things.
Is there a correlation between the type of person that can, get something out of extreme sports Like, what is it about the personality type that made him get into this and
Excel
and continue doing it, even though he's already richer than most people? Like, why would you continue on, especially now? Like, it's crazy to know that he's on the FBI's most wanted, and they even increased the amount of money that they're willing to give someone who wants to come forward with information. It was $10 million. No one was coming forward. Now it's up to $15 million, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, I talked to someone I'm very close with that probably knows more about definitely knows more about wedding than me. And she told me that even if the United States knew where he was right now, which I believe they do, he said he wouldn't move. He's that arrogant. Like he wants people to know who he is. He loves it. I think the question you asked is pretty interesting about, did the connection to his sports career, did that have something to do? I think he's just kind of a daredevil. He wants to delve into things that probably aren't right or aren't right ethically or morally. And, look, you can't get out of stuff like this. When you're at this type of level, I think people get this confused that like, oh, you can just make a ton of money and retire. I mean, maybe if you're some street corner guy that does pretty well with it, you maybe make a few $1 million. But at this level, it's a little different. I mean, where would he even go? I mean, he makes so much money, you couldn't get out of it. He's too high in the food chain to do that. Why he keeps doing it? Yeah, I mean, I think that's the moral question that we would all have, but it's not real easy to get out of. He looks at himself as a criminal, a gangster. There's no real way to go outside of that. Most of these people, this is what they're built to do, and they want to keep doing it.
It's so interesting to me because we've had another Canadian snowboarder that got fame not only for being incredible at their sport, but ended up having their medal stripped because they tested positive for THC. That's Ross Ribliati. Mm-hmm. And it seems like he was more villainized.
You're crushing it.
Than Ryan Wedding has been, even though one was just smoking weed and the other is doing obviously far worse than that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like I said, I don't know. I've always had thought that when it comes to wedding, like you mentioned the reward out there, like I think the United States and most of these places know where he is at this point. I think it's really just about a lot of these people. I have to wonder, like, what's their actual, are they allowed to just kind of keep doing what they do? In the end, like I said, they're fulfilling a need that a lot of people want. A lot of people, whether I agree with it or you agree with it, do cocaine. And Ryan Wedding is the person that supplies that. Ryan Wedding has supplied over $1 billion worth of cocaine. I don't think people realize how much that is. That is an insane amount of narcotics. So I think that he'll obviously get a lot more headlines now, but people like this love this stuff. I talk about the mafia a lot. Most of the people that I talk about, they love the fact that I talk about them. People want to be a gangster. The always thought is, why be a gangster if no one knows who you are? People watch films. I mean, I think the government, obviously they've been a problem in kind of stamping this out. But the entertainment and film industry, look, most of us, including you guys, probably want to film on this guy, right? All that's going to do is create more around him. You look at a film like Goodfellas, that makes the mafia look, very cool, and everybody wants to be a part of it. That's aided in taking these people into wanting to be what they want to be. Wedding will get a film. Absolutely. He'll definitely get documentaries. I don't know, maybe I'll even create a documentary on him. I mean, why not at this point? It's one of the biggest stories in the world. So criminals like this, they feed off this. And I don't know if I answered your question, but people like him, they can't leave it. They can't retire. It's kind of an addiction at this point for him, at least.
Now, you touched on the fact that your job is covering the mafia. You're well-versed in it. You know a lot about it. Do you ever feel scared? Do you ever have fear with what you are bringing forward with your very well-known podcast and social media presence?
When it comes to like the mob in America, no, not at all. And the mob in America have no ability to do that anymore. And that might sound crazy to you guys, but they don't. They're not a powerful organization at this point. And I've always lived in the fact of I don't disrespect these people. I don't call them names. I don't do things like that. I kind of just try to stick to what I know. I really only talk about current indictments and things of that nature. I definitely have like had run-ins as far as like they may not be happy with something I've said, but a lot of the time I'll just speak to them through an attorney or something and we'll figure it out. When it comes to people like Mr. Wedding, yeah, obviously I think that's a little bit obviously bigger. I mean, Wedding has reach. I think that's the thing about Wedding. I mean, he's not just a drug dealer. Ryan Wedding is under indictment for murder. He's ordered hits. He's had various people taken out. And what's crazy in this recent memo from the Department of Justice, where he was involved in a federal indictment for murdering a witness, he actually did that through someone like myself who has a blog that talks about Canadian criminals, one of which I've actually used in some of the stories that I do on the mafia in Canada. This guy, Dirty News, that has this blog that Mr. Wedding used. I've been on his site hundreds of times over the years. He was a very good journalist for a long period of time. Wedding actually used his website to post a picture of a federal witness, and that person was killed in Colombia. So it kind of is wild that all happened. But no, I wouldn't say I'm scared. I mean, I've definitely had run-ins over the years with certain people, but I'm not going to bow down to criminals. I mean, I don't disrespect them. All I do is no different than anyone else. So I just leave it at that.
Yeah, I mean, this story's everywhere. I saw TMZ posting about it. People, like, there are journalists just, putting out the facts, stuff that they know.
Right, yeah.
But no, it's been definitely a topic around the office. So we were like, hey, who can we get on that can break it down for maybe some of our viewers that have never heard about this guy or don't know what the heck is going on? So I think we came to the perfect source,
Yeah, no
one
doubt.
of the best to do it. What is your podcast and where can people find you?
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I have a show. It's called The Sit Down. You can find me on YouTube, Instagram, really wherever you consume content. I try to talk about organized crime for the most part. I spend a lot of time discussing the mafia, what they're doing today, cartels, things of that nature. I do viral news videos, mostly crime stuff, though. You can find it wherever you consume content. I will just point out, I think the reason that Wedding is well known to folks like yourself or just people around Canada or America that maybe don't consume this type of content. I just think it's the story. I mean, it is kind of literal that, he once was on the slopes and now he's kind of involved in snow in a different way. I think that kind of is, it's almost, again, it almost writes itself. But I think by talking about these people, it's exactly what they want. The problem is people are just fascinated by it because they don't live that life. I definitely think I add to it as well. I talk about them. They love it. These people are all sociopaths, and that's what, and they like it. So
awesome,
Man,
man. That
crazy.
was a heavy chat. Thank you very much for taking some time, and we'd love to have you on the show again at some point if it makes sense.
Yeah, if you're going to be doing some sort of documentary, just reach out. Now you have our contact, and we'll keep in touch. Thank you again for taking the time.
I will. Thank you guys for having me.
Cheers.
Appreciate
Take care.
it.
Yeah, of course.
Yep.
Bye.
It is interesting what the tie-in with his Olympic past and why that all of a sudden makes his story just mean a little bit more.
To us as Canadians, too.
Because we were rooting for him
winter
at one
sports,
point, right?
Yeah.
Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, like it, hype it, and share it with your friends.
And to not miss any of our content, make sure you're subscribing to the Oilers Nation YouTube channel. Freaking nailed it.